Welcome to Bill and Rob's, an excellent adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I am Rob Schulte. Bill, we've done it. Another series in the books in about
We have
50 minutes, I'm guessing, once this is over.
What? I mean, yeah, I guess we're pretty safe from going 2 hours on this one.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have fun with the time we have.
Oh, of course. Of course. I'm not saying, I'm just averaging our episodes. Like, it's the countdown starts now to the end of the RoboCop series, which is bittersweet.
It is. It is indeed. Well, you know, before we get on that, Rob, you are a professional in this field. I can remember the days when a podcast could be 20 minutes long.
Oh, yes.
30 minutes long. But 1 hour seems to be the standard for just about everything. Is that what you see when you make your shows?
Yeah, and I think that there used to be this sort of talk where it would be like, you've got your commuter podcast, you've got your gym podcasts, and then you've got your long form podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been proven over the years to not be the case, right? Like, people will, if they want to listen to something and it's 3 hours long, it'll take them however long it takes them to listen to that. Now, the people who don't want to do that will seek out the content they want to seek out. And sometimes a podcast is 20 minutes. Do I think a 10 to 20 minute podcast is ideal? No, because I think the most people who are making those aren't making it to make a podcast. Generally, if it's like an independent, like let's take the Vanderpump Rules world that I'm in with Vanderpump Robs. Like, generally people who do gossip type reality show, Bravo-y 10, 20 minute podcasts is because they just want another piece of content to feed their social media. It's not about making a quality show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you find someone is doing like, you know what, this is my talk show, about an hour is generally what it takes to get through some fun hangs, a little intro banter, maybe a segment or two, and then boom, we're wrapping things up. And it just kind of generally falls between 40 to 60 minutes.
It feels right. Everything I've ever listened to, the shows we do, it seems about the right amount of time to have a good time and maybe not overstay your welcome on any one particular topic.
Yeah, and when you see a show that starts to, and this is not shade by any means, but when you see a show that, you know, is an hour long and then they're like, hey, we're adding this new thing and it feels shoehorned in. Now, some people will add segments and it's totally the right thing to do, right? You're adding to what you're putting out there. But the stuff that feels shoehorned in, you can usually tell it's because they're trying to throw another ad break in. And probably someone else has chirped in their ear that's like, you know, if you extend this 30 minutes, you could fit a second ad break in your show. But we don't have to live by those rules at Bill and Rob's, Bill.
No, we would not. And even though we would love to have some ad breaks, we definitely would not slam them down everybody's throat. We wouldn't, shall we say, resurrect them from the earlier part of the episode into a monstrous silver automaton of ads that would take over towards the end. Am I segueing pretty well?
I think you're doing a good job. We wouldn't want our show to become an oven mitt.
No, we definitely don't want it to be. We're not. If you can smell the bread burning, you're definitely in the toaster. It is the helmet of this show. But we are here this week to put the capper on the RoboCop series, as you said, and we've reverted back to the type I love. We've gone to the knockoff. I threw the suggestion out earlier, and Rob's took me up on it. So this week we watched the 1988 Franken movie. Robo Vampire.
And it's Franken in more ways than just the title of this movie.
It sure is. This is a classic foreign film. It's from the golden time of distributors buying up footage from other movies and unfinished movies and whatever they could get and slapping them together and trying to fill up video stores with content. And it's been a while since we ran into one of these. I mean, we did start the show on one with Robo War, so it was nice to come back to form and have a little fun with this. So before we get too far into this, I'm sure we're going to have to tell everybody who's listening what this movie's all about, which is no small challenge considering we watched it. And I'm not sure precisely what this movie was about, but do you by any chance have a paper product covering a cassette that would have some kind of summary that could tell everybody what this movie's supposed to be about?
Of course I do, Bill. I've got the VHS tape right here. And as you know, those watching on the Patreon, which is everyone, of course, I've pulled out this tape. I've dripped water on it to get the dust off of it. And here's what it has to say. Narcotics agent Tom Wilde is given a second chance at life after being shot and killed. In a futuristic experiment, Agent Wilde is returned to life as an android robot. He is sent on a very dangerous mission into the depths of the Golden Triangle to rescue Sophie, a beautiful undercover agent who has been captured by the evil drug warlord Mr. Young and his inhuman creation, the vampire beast. In a climactic battle, Tom must use all his robotic powers to every single one of them, Bill. All his robotic powers to defeat the savage drug lord and his monstrous blood-sucking creation. Dun, dun, dun.
I wish that was as concise as the movie we watched.
You're telling me.
It's not that these things aren't in it. Maybe some of them are a bit of a stretch, but the back of the box sells you a more concise story than you will watch when you pop the videotape into your player.
And I'm sure we're gonna learn why, Bill.
We are indeed. Although with a movie this cheesy, I really can't believe that they didn't overdub his name to be Buck Wild, Agent Buck Wild. That would have been perfect.
This is, I mean, I've got lots of thoughts and we'll get into them, but I do think that this is one of those movies where it's a movie where you can disassociate while watching it and really not miss a thing because they didn't do us any favors. But it also is a very particular type of film that you and I are familiar with. What was the movie?
That was Robo War, Robs. That
of course it was. We knew this.
Premiere episode. Yeah. Yes, the soundtrack stolen from Atari with the robot suit stolen from a Dick's Sporting Goods and some plastic trash bags and a motorcycle helmet.
Yes, of course.
And it was great. It was a great time.
I almost feel like we should encore episode our Robo War after this, just so people can just hear where we started, Bill.
It would fit right in. The thing about those movies is, and what I like about them is when they mash them up, when they mash up a couple of different genres. That was a mashup of Predator and your basic American military movie and RoboCop in a way. So it fits across. So we shoehorned it into Predator, which it worked, but it would have worked just as well here, not just for the title. I
mean, especially in comparison to how much this movie is related to RoboCop. I mean, Robo War is just as I bet, Robo War was a little bit closer to Predator, I guess, than Robo Vampire is to RoboCop. But I'm not here to split hairs, Bill. I think this is wonderful, and I loved it. But I haven't rated this thing yet. Should we get into our segments?
Absolutely. I believe our first segment has something to do with facts or things we found out. What are we calling it this time, Robs?
Training vampires.
Did not know this was a thing.
Yep. Didn't either.
This feels like it would be like an upscale Beverly Hills type operation where you're like, you take your dog to teach him table manners. You take your vampire in here to train him, like how to kind of be a house pet.
Yeah. Vanderpump Vampires is right across the street from Vanderpump Dogs.
Vampire Pump rules.
Yes, I am all about that. But that's for a different podcast, which we'll do this summer, I'm sure.
That's our special fan fiction version of Vanderpump Robs.
Yes.
Coming in the spring of 2037.
Yes, of course. Where we will have plenty of patrons. Bill, I'm going to start this one, and we're going to start very bare bones here. The DVD/VHS cover of this film actually has a photo of RoboCop, right? Like that is RoboCop, and that's not exactly what we get in the film. But they definitely broke some copyright trademark laws there, I would have to assume. Intellectual property.
Yeah, it is a total lie. I mean, you'll watch it and go like, I didn't know they made this movie. And guess what? They didn't. So, I mean, you can't blame them. Part of the fun of these things is the covers.
Yeah.
I love that there are different ones. I love that it's painted. It's painted in the style of like we saw for Robo War. So, the cover is actually really exciting looking. You kind of would like, I get it. This is something you want to dive right into. So they did a good job with it. And full marks for the VHS cover.
Full
Absolutely
marks.
wonderful.
We're here to say we are impressed with the VHS DVD box. 10 out of 10.
And after you look at one of these, and especially you look at this movie and you absorb one of these movies for the first time, when you just realize the chutzpah it takes for these people to just do it, just go. Mm-hmm. We talked about Robo War, how the Italian crews were just like, they just get up and go.
Yeah.
They wake up one morning and 8 hours later, they're in the Philippines with full gear. They've written the script overnight. They don't worry about copyright or any of that stuff. They just go and they just do it. And they do it on this thing too. They just like, hey, we're RoboCop versus vampires. Go. And that's what you get. So when it comes to these movies, a lot of the time it may not be exactly the film you're expecting, but I think the cover pretty much delivers on what it says it's going to be most of the time.
Yeah, this is a movie you can judge by its cover.
Yeah. Also, if it's the original cover, it's threadbare and a little thin. Okay. Yeah.
Well, what's one of your vampire facts?
So you hear vampires, and of course, we're all creatures of our own cultures. So American culture, we're pretty much used to the Dracula type of vampire, the thing, fangs, blood sucking, turns into bats, whatever. These vampires are not those vampires. And that took me by surprise. I'd heard of this movie, but to actually see it was interesting. In Chinese folklore, vampires aren't actually blood sucking demons. They're more like reanimated corpses of fallen soldiers and people who they would send a person out who was a special person. I can't pronounce the name. It starts with a D. I've tried so many times. He's the character in this movie. And basically they would go out and find these bodies and put them on sticks, usually two of them, and kind of carry them like a litter, like a surgical litter home so that their spirit could come home. And as you know, if you're walking carrying somebody on the stick like a marionette, it kind of looks like they hop. Yeah. So vampires don't walk. They don't fly. Technically, these kind of do. They hop everywhere they go. And that sounds ridiculous. And it is. I'm just going to say it. It is ridiculous. There's moments where you can kind of go with it, but like there is a scene towards the end of this movie where the lead vampire, who is actually a different kind of vampire, we'll get to that, and he is running away from Robo Warrior. He's not RoboCop in this movie. He's Robo Warrior. So movie title a little off.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's hopping down a bridge, and it's a long oneer as he goes, with Robo Warrior just kind of ambling behind. And to watch this grown man in this suit just kind of hippity hop like a little bunny is hilarious. It's just hilarious. So I was taken aback and then slowly more and more delighted by it the more I watched of it.
That leads into something I have later on, but for now, I'm just going to point out the biggest thing you might notice in this film is how it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's because This film is two unrelated movies edited into one. A cyborg android robot RoboCop spin-off fighting drug lords, and then a second drug lord movie where mercenaries are trying to save a drug agent. And never the twain shall meet.
It's so weird.
Yes.
It's so weird because it runs parallel. The closest you get is there's the drug characters at the beginning just sort of go, hey, we got a problem with these DEA agents. Let's just get some vampires and have them take care of this.
Yeah.
And everybody's just kind of like looks at each other, which you can see that you get a lot of react, don't react, shot for shot type of things from the cast. And they're like, all right, fine. They just go with it.
Yeah.
And so this thing just goes on, and it's slow. Every once in a while, there's a crossover part between, but it is so strange because the vampires are brought in originally, I believe, they were going to hide their drugs on vampires and have them transported across wherever they needed to go. But then that doesn't happen. And then they become like agents to take out people and take out Robo Warrior. It's all over the place. And I really thought as it went along, it was going to be more mismatched than it was, but I'm going to give the movie credit a little up front. It's not terribly mismatched. It doesn't make any sense, but it does have a weird sort of logic as it flows along, but it is definitely that jarring feeling when you watch something, you go, I don't think I'm watching the same movie anymore. Well, you're not. You're absolutely not.
And that's fair. I mean, I think you absolutely are not. And you, Bill, are absolutely correct. And it just goes to show you, like, movie magic, man. I'll tell you what someone needs to do. This gives me an idea. So they did this whole Halloween trilogy over the past 6 years or so, right? Where it's Michael Myers comes back 35 years later or whatever. And the movies are good. Don't get me wrong. They're not great, but it was a fun little trilogy that happened. But you know what would be amazing? An edit that cuts them down into one movie, because they definitely are not needed to be 3 movies. And I love this idea of being like, we got these 2 films. They're not on their own. They're okay, but we could make something if we put them together.
Wow. That's an amazing thought. It would be like the original Superman 1 and 2 put into the one version.
Yes.
Yeah, as you do see some of these movies where they're like, look, I get your idea, and I'm always going to go to this one because I kind of love it. Jason in Space. But that movie's, it's got its stuff, but all those movies all together, the idea for each one's like, this is a little thin. This is kind of hard to stretch into 90 minutes, but you're right. I bet you could get 6 of those down into a tight 2, maybe 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And just roll with it.
Same with Nightmare on Elm Street. They're all fun in their own right. But like, if we're just telling a Freddy Krueger story, you could really turn that into a trilogy that has some legs to it. Or claws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And fingers.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, what's your other fact?
Well, I really tried on this movie, and I was sad that I couldn't find out more about it. We really do work hard to see if we can get behind this stuff and find some things nobody's ever heard of. But the basic fact is not a lot of documentation on these movies. And you kind of knew that. We know a little bit about this industry. We looked into it for some other movies, and this is a lot of cut and paste and on the fly. And unless you're lucky enough to somebody have done a documentary like 15 years later with the cast that's on YouTube, like we were lucked out for Robo War.
Yeah.
We got lucky with that one. You kind of don't get that with these. And I would love to have been able to find something like that. But they're just so cut up and put together. But as I'm watching the movie and the credits are rolling, I'm looking at the names in the credits. They're all very Americanized. And it said directed by Joe Livingstone. And I'm like, that can't be right. I thought this was a Godfrey Ho movie. So I looked it up, and part of the thing that these movies is people just use whatever names come up. And I'm not any kind of aficionado on Godfrey Ho. I know who he is. He's famous for doing these kind of foreign cut and paste movies. But apparently he has over like 40 aliases.
Really?
And one of them is more than likely Joe Livingston.
Really?
And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm like, and my brain's just going, why do you need that many aliases? I mean, you can't be hiding something. Is there some kind of law that you would have got taxed for doing too many movies? I mean, are you protecting your reputation? Because your reputation is to make these movies. So I don't know. It just caught me off guard that a director of any kind or any kind of entertainer behind or in front of the scenes could have 40 different aliases to go by.
Yeah.
That just blew me away.
Almost feels like there's some tax evasion, something or other happening.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, they made these movies back then, and they were what they were, and they were lucky enough to decades later be a beloved genre, or at least one that entertains people, a large enough group of people that they would want to know who did everything, and they've all got different names, so they can't be sure about it. That's just great.
Well, Bill, let's move on to our next segment. These are things that we liked about the movie. And so I'm calling it Assured of Success.
You said that in perfect voiceover clipped version. That's how we do this. None of these voices are the people in this movie. I'm just convinced of it. Not a single one of them is the same person.
A single one. And it almost makes you wonder what was being said. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but their cadences across the board. It's like if there was a note that said, he's happy when he says this, the voiceover will be the least happy version of that you've ever heard in your life.
Yes. Do you want to go first?
Absolutely. This movie was a lot of fun, and I was trying to put into my own thoughts why I thought it was fun. Because it's not good in a lot of ways. Let's just say it. But this movie is like having a conversation with a kid who keeps going, and then this happened, and then this happened. Like he tells you a thing, and you're like, really? He's like, yeah, it's RoboCop, and RoboCop's in the jungle, and then he fights vampires, and then the vampires have drug lords, and then this happened. It became not tedious for me, which I was fully expecting it to be. I actually went into kind of being ready to not, I guess, be entertained as much by this movie as I hoped I would be. But it had a certain charm. This Franken film, there's nothing else to call it. It's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But it's never boring. It's inconceivable what's going on sometimes, and your brain looks at the screen and goes, what? Huh? Why? But your eyes are never like, I don't want to look at that, or that doesn't look good. It's just insanity wrapped up into about 90 minutes of film. It's crazy. And it keeps going along well enough and fast enough. And maybe it's a function that the two stories are there. I think if this movie was like 3 or 4 movies cut together and had a lot of jumping and weird stuff, that would be worse. And I'm sure those movies are out there, and they're probably not fun to watch at all. But this movie, with having like its 2 main movies that are running parallel and at least have enough of a thread that so you could sort of believe that they're happening at the same time to some of the same people, it kept my attention. It was kind of fun. And it didn't ever get into that point where, after 20 minutes, you're looking at that kid going, and he's still going on with his story. So
yeah.
I think it was great. And I think this is one of those experiences, just like we started with Robo Ward. We never really got to another movie like that again. It feels like this is that one kind of candy like you get when you go to grandma's, but you only see grandma like twice a year. And you're like, cool. I can take this. I want that weird sort of soft fudge striped cookie that you don't get anywhere else. It's not the best, but it's great. This works for me.
The hard candy wrapped in the watermelon paper.
Yeah. It's a treat. It feels like a treat as long as you're just not eating them every day.
Yeah.
So that's what this movie is. I wouldn't want to feast on it, but visiting this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I would say that I liked that they attempted like an A story and a B story here, even within the actual RoboCop, not the like 2 films put together. But like within the RoboCop film, you like got the Robo Warrior, and then you also got this like ghost and gorilla vampire love story that was happening subsequently. And it's weird, but they did it, you know?
Yeah, it's fair to tell everybody from the back of the box reading that the main monstrous beast is a vampire gorilla that used to be a man who has been reanimated, and his former love who died because they couldn't be together comes back as a ghost.
Yes.
Who does complete kung fu moves and has a lot of weird powers, but apparently there are no braziers in the afterlife.
I guess not. No.
It's much. I think she subscribes to the George Lucas theory of there is no underwear in space because she's wearing a tablecloth that you would get like from a wedding party that you could see through. It's very strange. You know, I get what you're doing, movie, but yeah, it's a little weird.
It is a little weird. And Bill, I'll just run into my second one because it just kind of ties in, and we'll let you cap off this segment. I do like seeing folklore from another country. You know, there's only so many Pecos spills I can take in my own country's folklore, or even like vampires, right? Like, I love a good horror movie. I love a good thing, but like, just being able to see like how ghosts and witches and vampires work in a different culture is fun because it's like, oh, this is a new twist on an old favorite, you know? And I mean, I wish I would have gotten more, but it is cool to see. And I love that they have bottle rocket powers.
Yeah. A lot of bottle rockets used across the board. I'm right there with you, Rob. It was neat because, you know, after a certain amount of time, like, you know what you're going to get when you see a vampire movie. And in Americanized movies, or certainly Western movies, I think the best thing we came up with in the last several years was like an Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is a movie I generally like. It's like the vampires are the same, but you put them in some outlandish situation against somebody you're just not expecting.
Yeah.
But to see them done in a different way, like I said, it was surprising for me. So I'm like, oh, so this isn't just a weird thing you guys came up with. This is pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought it was great. And I don't know that they said in the folklore that they have bottle rocket powers, but I'm never going to look it up because I want to believe they do forever.
I just need to know that they've got bottle rockets and Roman candles up those sleeves. That's how it works.
I like that their main thing is to try and kill you the same way like a 14-year-old will on a 4th of July barbecue.
Well, what's your final bullet point for this segment?
So just like the cover of the VHS tape that shows us what we're supposed to get, which we get, we've watched a lot of movies in our lifetime, and especially these cheaper movies, for lack of a better word, where we do a lot of over-promise, under-deliver. I think when we watched Children of the Corn with the Michael Ironsides, that's an example for me of his head's on the cover, big as life. He's in the movie for about 3.5 minutes and does nothing significant. You're like, where's my Ironsides? You know,
where's my Ironside?
I didn't get it. So this movie doesn't do that. The end of this movie is all Robo Warrior. And it's a good 12, 13 minutes, something like that. It actually, looking back on it, it might be a little too much. Because Robo Warrior, unfortunately, like, he has some moves, but he don't have a lot of them. And the hopping vampires gets a little bit into a rut when they're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. But he does put on a pretty spectacular fight. And by God, we do get what this movie promises. So it ends with him duking it out. And I applaud everybody involved with this. Thank you, movie, for giving us what you said you were going to give us and letting us end on it. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, I think that was great. And a great ending title card, too. Or ending the end card.
Oh man, I had such Kung Fu Theater flashbacks when that hit from watching that when I was a kid.
Yeah. Wonderful. But not everything was wonderful, Bill. We might have disliked a few things in this film.
Oh dear.
And I think we're going to title this segment, How Dare You Take My Lover's Corpse?
What an amazing soliloquy that ghost lady puts on when she's lamenting how much, like, how dare you take my lover and turn him into a vampire gorilla? Now we can't be together, but if we make it, maybe we will. And can you marry us, weird guy? I'm like, what?
I don't. Hang on. Let me catch up with you here. You want to go first?
Yeah. With a little more creative editing, They could have made the drug story alone make more sense. Now, I realize we're not talking a lot of sense, but that's that minimum kind of thread that runs through the whole thing. They could have done just some editing with the words and made what was going on a little more practical, flow a little more, because it kind of hops from things like, we've got to get the drugs over here. And then it's like, train the vampires. And then some other guy's like, I got to get the drugs here. And they're like, then people are looking for drugs, but you don't know why. And we have the DEA agent, Sophie, who kind of comes out of nowhere. And then the box will make you think she's a major part of this, but she's not really. That then the other officials, they want the DEA agents, they got to get her back. We've got to get her back, or the whole operation's toast. We're like, why? She hasn't done anything. So I think if they kind of could have ratcheted that back a little bit, then my plethora of moments where I looked at the screen and went, huh? What? Would have been cut down significantly. And I would have just made it a better movie for just to follow along and watch. So it would have been nice.
For you and for me and the entire university of film. Bill, I agree with you. I think I'm going to go with something. We'll just put it out there. RoboCop is known to be slow, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
We know the character is slow. In this movie, he might be a little too slow. Like, there might be a little bit too much, I am a robot walking, doing my bump, 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 bump. He's doing a robot dance as he's robot walking, except for when he's fighting, and at which point he's not slow at all.
No. And please, if you're not on the Patreon, do it, because you need to see the video, because Rob did that perfectly when he pop and locked Robo Warrior. Yeah, it's weird. So for description's sake, let's just tell you, he don't look like RoboCop.
Nah.
He's wearing a large gold or a silver foil suit. Looks like it's some kind of, almost looks like a hazmat suit that's silver.
It's like a mix between a hazmat suit that's silver and like I just got out of a traumatic event at the end of an action movie and the cops have wrapped me in this silver blanket.
Yeah, he kind of looks like the flamethrower guy from the Lethal Weapon movie where they did the terrible Gary Sharon Van Halen song playing behind him. And then they've like spray painted what I think are like dinner mats, perhaps, and taped them as shoulder pads.
Doilies, of course, of some sort.
Yeah, and I think some gold paint or some silver painted tennis shoes, and it's dumpy. I mean, he's got a helmet that seems to be cockeyed more often than not. And
an attempt at a visor. An attempt.
Yeah, I mean, it is. If you saw my attempt at a RoboCop helmet, I think I was pretty much on par with what we got here. So it is. He's wild looking, and yeah, he sort of whirs and burrs a little bit, and then all of a sudden he'll do some kung fu moves, and I think it's really weird.
He does have the on point RoboCop 3 voice though.
Yeah,
it does sound similar there, but yeah, I think this guy could have used a little bit more mime training for his RoboCop.
Or any.
Yes, or any. Yeah,
any mime training would have been good, but yeah, when he starts giving his countdown at the end where I'm going to give you 15 seconds.
I know. I was like, how did we come up with 15? Because it only gets to like 5, right? Like,
yeah,
we could have just said, I'll give you 5 seconds.
Yeah, nobody in movies gives you 15. And when he does that, you start to realize why, because by the time he gets to 8, you're like, oh no, this is far too much time. And he's just counting them off in his regular kind of weird mechanical accountant voice. I don't know. Strange.
Very strange.
It's very strange.
Well, what about you? What's another dislike that you had?
So, although I really like the hopping vampires, the thing about them is they're not. The vampires aren't really vampires. And that's okay, but when you watch the movie's job is to at least sort of give you an idea of what's going on. And we aren't really told what it takes to kill one or what their limits are. So it's hard to feel tension when they attack, because when you first see them, I'll just tell you, they look goofy. They don't have fangs, which is fine, I guess. You just expect to see it. But when you're going to do these movies and they're clearly trying to appeal to a Western audience because they've got American actors in this, and that's part of the thing they always did. They shot some new footage with some Americans so they could splice it in and give you somebody to look at.
Very Power Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, you got to tell us a little bit about what's going on. They sort of do say some things about there's the piece of paper that will stop them in their tracks if you pin it to their forehead, but they just have these powers and that's it. I mean, you just watch them do what they're going to do. So for all these fight scenes, Robo Warrior's got his big gun. Clearly guns don't work on them, but yeah, they keep using them anyway. And
they used one. At one point in time, the gun worked on him when they blew him up, but they don't work on him after that. And that's the thing.
No. So not having a little more explanation about why the vampires are such a big deal, it was just a little confusing again for me, but also didn't really give me anything to go, I see the sign of what's coming. This is going to be bad because I know they can't do anything against this. They got to figure something else out. That just never happened. They just kept shooting bottle rockets out of their hands and blowing what looked like talcum powder in people's faces.
Yes. And my last dislike comes very similar to yours, Bill. Like, I want to know more about what the folklore is. Like, if this is completely accurate, give me something, right? Like, I want to know more. I want to know the world. Like, build out this thing as a story for your audience you're trying to get it out to. And it was lost. It was lost in the weirdness of it. And we get this one thing, like you said, you can put these spells in front of their faces, but also you can wear garlic. And it's like, I have to think that like the garlic part is them attempting to be like, well, let's westernize these vampires lore a little bit, but it's not working.
That's weird. Like, I like the little pieces of paper with like the little etching or sign on it. Like, that's cool.
And I did some research. That is a thing, for Chinese vampires, but I need more. I don't care if they break all of the rules I know for a vampire, but just tell me what it is.
Quick rewrite. Well, how great would it have been if Robo Warrior at the end had used his big gun on vampire, gorilla, bachelor, soon to be betrothed, whatever, and had stitched one of those images on him with his gun, and that's what would have shut him down. That would have been cool. Not quite Hollywood. Call us. We'll make this. Robs and I are willing to fly to some foreign country as long as it's, as long as we can make it back.
Yeah, as long as
we promise we'll be nice when we're there.
Yeah,
we're good.
We'll be respectful. And speaking of respectful, this movie respected us, Bill, with a lot of amusing moments.
Oh yeah,
which I'm calling tinfoil. Because this guy's like the foil to the RoboCop we know.
Holy moly, that was amazing.
I'll go first. In one of the scenes in this movie, towards the end, it's definitely from the We're Rescuing the Drug Agent movie, and the team sneaks up to the drug compound, and one guy hops on the roof to drop a grenade. And after he drops the grenade and no one dies, doesn't seem to really do any damage, it just tells all of the soldiers, like, someone's here. And they all come running out, and one of the guys runs onto the rooftop, cuts away to our friends that aren't on the rooftop, shooting. Then when it cuts back, the guy's fighting him on the roof, cuts away, cuts back, and he throws the guy off his shoulder. But it is definitely like 4 pillows sewed together.
It looks like the mannequin we put in our yard one year at Christmas when we stuffed like two pairs of pantyhose full of leaves and made arms and legs out of them.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's definitely like the scarecrow for Halloween. Like a scarecrow that actually scares crows is probably better than this thing that's like hodgepodge together.
Yeah. And also more believable than my dummy honorable mention is when Robo Warrior gets toasted on the beach and goes from being guy in weird tinfoil pillow suit to clearly being made of styrofoam.
Yeah.
What do you think they made that out of? He gets blowed up and it goes up like just one of those weird little like a magic trick.
Papier-mâché,
Yeah. It's some classic dummy work.
And
so
very
I love
amusing.
that.
Very, very amusing.
Very much.
What's one of yours?
Oh man. This was at the very beginning of this movie. We're not explained who the narcotics agents are. It's not clear.
Nope.
So in the movie, they're just guys in fatigues.
Mm-hmm.
And they're there at the very start. So they look like, you can't tell if they're gorillas or whatever. You kind of figure that out later. But they're all apparently guys that they hired from a frat because they're all about 19 to 22 with big old perms. They're American guys.
Yep.
And they're wearing fatigues, and they're the drug force. And the guy that's in charge of the drug force is about 12, but they overdub him with a voice that's about 45. That's what this guy is. But they're wearing Chuck Taylors, man. Did you see that at the very beginning of the movie when they're fighting?
Yeah,
fatigues and Chuck Taylors like this.
Wonderful.
I've always said it always amazed me because I always thought like policemen when you see them on TV and whatever. They make them for a long time, made them wear dress shoes and stuff like that. It's like, you can't run in dress shoes. Why don't they give them something more like tennis shoes? And this narcotics drug force who has the ability to make a robot out of one of their own, they get it, man. You got to have some comfortable shoes for running through the jungle to catch your drug dealers. You put some Chuck Taylors on them. I applaud this. This was great.
Yep. It's one of the most believable things in this film. You know?
Yep. Believe the budget because that's what they had. They were what they owned.
Yep. I will say the other amusing thing for me that just kept jumping out to me, like once you notice it, it just happens again and happens again. You could very easily, like if you don't pick up on this and you're just like, this movie's glossing you over, but all the gun handling in this film is so funny. Like they wave these things around like flags, and where it really jumped out to me was about 15 minutes in. And honorable mention, that Jeep comes around the corner and you're like, oh, this is the Jeep's driving in from far away. And then someone stands up at the top. It's like, oh no, that's just a very tiny Jeep.
That was awesome.
The like American soldiers or whatever are like, hey, stop. They're just like waving the gun, like two hands. And it is so funny because I'm like, no, you hold the gun securely and you wave with the other hand if you're trying to get someone's attention. And then you just realize, oh, no one handles weapons professionally in this movie or shoots them professionally. And I don't even know a whole hell of a lot about guns, Bill, but I know that it doesn't look like these people know much either.
No, they do a whole lot of sweeping from the hips with these things. I don't think anybody ever really aims a gun in this entire movie. But the funny thing that I thought about that was, and this may be the only movie that's ever done it, Rob, did you catch up on this, is that, you know, there's always that point, especially in a RoboCop movie. It's even in this one where Robo Warrior goes in a drug lab and he goes, you know, put down your guns. You're coming with me. And there's probably 5 or 6 guys in there. They do it. Yeah. They look at each other and go, I'm not dicking with this guy. And they just go, oh, well, and they surrender. You never see that. They always start a major shootout. And this happens at the end of the movie when like the 3 guys take on the 52 guys at the final drug warehouse shootout. They go around the corner. They just all give up and come out and they just kind of sit down like, well, you got us.
Yeah.
I never see anything like it.
It's wild. I can't even... I had to itch my eyes. I had to go, is this really happening?
Maybe it's because when the good guys fan their guns, they'll fire 3 times, but yet 12 guys will die.
Yeah.
Maybe they've just got they don't have the right bullets. Their bullets are curved and they can't shoot straight. Maybe that's what's going on.
Well, Bill, we can shoot straight to our ratings of this movie.
We got one more.
We do.
I have one more tinfoil moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, we're good.
Rob Adler, leave this in if you feel like it's natural.
It's like watching 2 different podcasts.
I know.
Rob's is going off that way and Bill's in a different place.
I cannot believe. Did I do 2 in a row, Bill?
No.
Well, I've read both of mine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, you did, but that's fine.
This is people are learning how it's going and how this podcast is made. So please tell me more.
This is the joy when you get a movie like this. You're just so caught up in how good, bad you have your moments. You just
true.
You just lose track of everything. So my last one is what I started to call the life machine. so when the Robo Warrior is born in what we will call the lab, which I'm pretty sure is just somebody's living room, with some tables and some machinery that I think is made out of some old airplane parts and some cardboard, there's a machine that, as he's clearly expiring as a human, and when they bring him back as Robo Warrior, it has two big lights on it. One is green with a plus sign. One is red with a negative sign. And this is clearly the green one will pulse and blink to let you know life is happening. And the red minus one will blink when the death is happening. So like when Tom Wilde dies as a human, the red light goes on. It's like, oh, he dead. You can't get much simpler than that. We are always surrounded by this cacophony of machines that are always going in these movies with buttons and dials and switches and things. Nah, just one box, dude. Red light.
Just tell us. Just tell us what we need to know.
Because they're not going to show you his robot body that much because there ain't no money in the budget for that. But you get a nice panning shot of that big red and green light going off in the middle of that living room while they look through across the dining room table in the one pane of glass they've set up. See if they can bring Robo Warrior back to life. I loved it. I thought it was great.
And they did it. They brought him back.
They did.
Well, Bill, should we give our ratings?
I think so. I think we should bring back the segment that we always bring back. It's a fan favorite, especially amongst us because it's ours and we like what we do.
Of course.
This is where we rate our movie. We call this section 5 Nights for $1. And if you've ever been in a video store back in the day, might have been a rack of movies somewhere in the back towards the front. They would have a bunch of them on there, and it might have a sign on it that says something like 5 nights for $1. So these movies, you could throw down $1. You could take your movie home, keep it for 1 night, keep it for 5 nights, up to you, same price. And that's kind of the way we do it here. We don't compare our movies to any other movie, nothing in the series, no sequels, no prequels, nothing.
Nope.
It's just we've gone, Rob and I have gone on, we're foreign exchange students, and we've gone over to the Philippines. We're hanging out, and we've gone into whatever passes for the local Blockbuster over there.
Yep.
And we've put down our however many foreign amounts of money this is, probably tens of thousands of things, that equals $1. And we've taken Robo Vampire off the shelf, taken it home and popped it in, or watched it. How many of those 5 nights are we going to keep our copy of this bad boy? So I'm going to go first, and I'm going to let you finish out this series, Rob.
I appreciate it.
This is your baby. You've created this automaton of fun.
Yes. Go for it, Bill. Let's hear it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's really a fun movie if you don't live in it for too long. This is, like I've said earlier, this is not the kind of movie you can make a steady diet of. At least I can't. I don't think I could live on this day.
One can't live on Robo Vampire alone.
No. I need more than just weird pieces of paper and talcum powder blown in my face to stay animated for this one. But I had a lot of fun watching it, and I knew I was going to have a lot of fun talking to Robs about it. And if we'd watched this in the same room, it probably would have taken us at least 2 hours by pausing and just stopping and laughing and going, my God, did you just see what happened? We'd have the same conversation in real time. And for that, I love the movie for it. I think it's great. I'm definitely not going to watch it again anytime soon in the near future. And then in those 5 nights, I don't know. Like, I might think about it, but I don't think I'd actually do it. So I don't know how long it's going to take us to find whatever conveyance we need to get back to the video store. Or I don't mean this in a bad way. I really don't.
Speak your truth, Bill.
This is a 1 night movie. But what a 1 night, dude. It's going to be a real fun night to sit and watch Robo Vampire and pick it apart. So I give it 1 night with love. I'm putting in this addendum right in this very moment in this episode. 1 night with love. Not a bad thing for a bad movie that's actually pretty good, as long as you don't stick around for it too long. So, how about you, Rob? What are you going to give it?
Bill, I think you really kind of hit the stake in the heart on this one. I think that this isn't quite Robo War. You know, like this.
Agreed.
This is not like, yes, you could say like this is a movie like Robo War. You know, cheaply made. They just went out run and gun, and that's fun. But even Robo War has more elements to it that were actually thoughtful and done and conceived of as a whole film, right?
Right.
So that's where this one's lacking, right? It's the things that are chopped and screwed together are apparent and make it not hard to watch, but difficult to follow. Like if you went into this night, you're just like, okay, so what am I doing? Who is this? Why? Okay. I mean, I get it. I can follow it, but like, you're not giving me a lot to work with here. And then you're left like kind of watching it for its silly action scenes, which are also, I mean, less than, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pan to the guys laying in the grass shooting the guns, pan to the building of the people, or a fight during the breakout scene where it's like, okay, how many times can we punch this guy in the face who's big and strong and doesn't fall over before we figure out a way to poke him in the eyes, right? It's just not as well done, but was it fun? Yeah. Am I glad we watched it? Yeah. And I think I'm with you. Like, this is a total one night stand, you know, it is one night with love. And I have to say and you know, both sides of this scale is that it's one night because I have no drive to watch Robo Vampire again, or to be like, I got to go watch that scene. I got to show this. But I might want to say, like, what's the next thing like Robo Vampire that I can go get and watch? Like, what's another Robo Vampire, Robo War, you know, type movie that we can add to our resume of this type of film that we've seen, and then compare and contrast and have fun that way. So I'm with you. This gets a one night, but a one night with love, as Bill put in.
Awesome. Feel exactly the same way. Yeah. So that's cool. I'm glad we did this. This was a lot of fun. And I think it was a really neat way to tie up a really cool look back on the RoboCop franchise and put a little spin on one more. You know, there are definitely more movies like this out there. So you never know, folks. We could wedge this in anytime, any place.
Absolutely. And Bill, I want to wedge in some thank yous before you tell us what our next series is going to be. First of all, thank you, patrons, for sticking around with us. Those of you who listen, you are our dedicated friends, not fans, and we are doing our best to let people know about the Patreon. We always put out an episode every season. We unlock some stuff after a year. We're trying to grow this patronage. It's slow and steady, and slow and steady wins the race. That's what I hear, Bill. So we're doing that, and we got to, you know, get that Patreon $5 a month so that we can help out old Rob Adler, who is editing these things for us, we couldn't be done. The show could not be made without the help of Rob Adler. Bill has a lot to do. I have a lot to do. We got to have someone on the side who likes actually listening to us talk. And if he does it, I mean, all the Patreon money goes to him until we get at least 50 patrons. And then maybe we can start buying some more movies for all of us. But that's the plan.
It is. And Rob Adler is definitely the green plus sign of Bill and Rob's.
Yes, he's not the silver oven mitt.
No.
He is the green plus.
No, he is the pulsing green plus sign that really helps us out, and we love him for it. Thank you, Rob Adler.
Yes. Well, Bill, the time has come. I need to know, what are we going, you know, we take a few weeks off so that we can build runway, listeners, into our next season. You'll get a pumpkin spice podcast in that time. But as we're prepping, Bill, what will we be prepping for?
This is one of my favorite parts of this job, is sitting down in my own little sort of laboratory dining room situation. And I'm not building an automaton. I'm building an experience. So now that we got all that claptrap out of the way, I have decided that, based on a comment I made earlier, and this is no surprise if you're a listener of the show, we were very sad to hear of the passing of Carl Weathers earlier this year. And I made the promise that I was going to work in Action Jackson somehow into my next series.
Ooh.
So, that's coming. I'm like, well, what's a good way to wrap some stuff around this? So I've had this rattling around in my head, and I am going to call the next series that we do, leading off with that movie, Macho Cheese.
Macho Cheese.
I have picked that and 5 more of some of the machoest movies that I could come across, that a couple I've seen, a couple I want to see. I'm just in the mood to oil up some biceps, lock and load, and let some of these movies rip. And I just wanted to be dripping with just that kind of coolness that Carl Weathers eluded in all his characters. So that's a tribute to him. It can't get any better. So we're going to be some in the 80s, some in the 90s, and some of my favorites. So yeah, Macho Cheese is the next series.
Excellent. And so we're starting with Action Jackson?
We are indeed.
Excellent. I'm very, very excited about this. Bill, this is what happens. This is what we do. We jump into it and we figure it out.
We do. It's all I can do not to just fire all 5 movies at Rob's right away, because I just want to see the look on his face when he watches them. It's the best part of this. Best part. If I get a smile out of him going, I like that part.
Man, and you know what this means, Bill? This means now I have to start thinking about what my next series is going to be.
That's one of the best parts of this.
I know.
It's one of the most fun things to do, because we get a little locked up sometimes because there's so many choices, so many great things that I want to watch and talk to you about. So thank you, everybody who gives us the good thoughts and the shares and keeps us going. We have this conversation anyway, but we really like being able to share it with all of you out there.
Yeah, Bill, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take on this action journey. I always say this, but so many action movies I learned through doing the show Friendly Fire, and now that is just continuing into Bill and Rob's. And I love this idea. I look forward to seeing where it takes us, man. This is going to be fun.
Me too, buddy.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in a few weeks when we have loaded our clip full of action movies, and so that we can not miss a beat. So we'll see y'all next time on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.